Hi everyone, I'm so glad you could join me here on Oh Yum. And over the years, I know you've become accustomed to my baking recipes, but guess what? I cook too. And I've read your comments. You are requesting some savory dishes. Well, good news, today starts my Cookalong series. I went to chef training before I specialized in baking. So just like baking recipes, I can give you the hows and whys behind cooking, sharing with you some of my favorite, most delicious dishes, and also listen to your requests. So to kick things off today, you're probably looking at this saying, well, what am I doing with a cake? Because this is a tea sandwich torte. It's a hot day out there, and I thought, well, let's make a cold savory dish. If you're having an afternoon tea or a shower or a gathering where you want a great savory make ahead, and if you love the idea of tea, well then this sandwich torte does the trick. I'm going to walk you through making a chicken salad, an egg salad with a secret ingredient, thanks to my mom, and a pesto cream cheese layered between bread, so one torte feeds 8 to 10 people easily. Please stay with me. Welcome to Cookalong, and I'm making my tea sandwich torte. Tea sandwich fillings. The chicken salad first, because that's going to be at the base of this sandwich torte. So normally I don't put cream cheese in a chicken salad, but because I want to make this a torte that's sliceable, I don't want the chicken salad oozing or squishing out of place. The cream cheese, now soft, once chilled, will hold the chicken salad in place. So I'm just softening this up, and I'll add a little bit of mayonnaise. If this does soften up a bit too much that you see lumps developing, you can switch to a whisk, and I think I'm going to do that. If you have a favorite chicken salad recipe you'd like to include to customize this torte to make it your own, of course do that, but consider adding that little bit of cream cheese to stabilize it. So for some flavor, I'm gonna add just a touch of lemon juice, and I'm adding, for a bit of color and tomato flavor, some tomato paste, concentrated tomato, and finely chopped sun-dried tomato. So a little more highly seasoned. I might as well add my green onions now. Stir that together. So while very soft now, of course, this will set up in the fridge. I have my cooked diced chicken. I've diced it smaller than I would if I was just making a single layer chicken salad sandwich. I want the dressing to envelop the chicken. Now you can use leftover chicken, you can grill some chicken up. This is chicken breast meat. I actually poached the chicken. So I made a stock, sort of stock. I just threw in some celery and onion, a little fresh thyme, dropped in the chicken breast, and they took about 20 minutes to reach 165 Fahrenheit. After the chicken cooled, then I diced it up. For a nice bit of crunch, and it relates to the pesto layer in the sandwich torte, some toasted pine nuts. All right, if you're making this ahead of time, you can pop it in the fridge to chill it. I'm gonna get to assembling soon enough, so moving right on to the egg salad layer. All right, I have already boiled 8 eggs. So they're hard boiled, and when I boil my eggs, I immerse them in tepid water, bring them up to a full boil, and that's when I set the timer for 10 minutes. I let them boil for 10 minutes and immediately off the heat. You have to cool down the eggs by running them under cold water or soaking them in ice cold water. That will prevent any of that unappealing green skin to form on the egg yolk. That's the little trick. Now, normally I would use a little chopper for my egg salad, but just like the chicken salad, I wanted to dice the chicken fine. With my egg salad, I want a fine texture to my egg salad, so I'm using a box grater. And you know, I have had this box grater for over 20 years. And I like it because the teeth on the box grater are actually a little bit dull. I find the new ones with the laser cut blades, for lack of a better term, oh, you can shred a knuckle just too quickly. So I prefer my old one, even if it takes a little more pressure. Of course, with eggs, it doesn't. But I'll just grate up, and you can see that egg has not a hint of green in the yolk. The rinsing is key. Oh, and when it comes to tips for peeling hard-boiled eggs, well, I run a thin stream of cold water as I'm peeling it, if I can. And it sounds counterintuitive, but using an egg that is not fresh from the farm is key. If it's been in your fridge if the eggs have been in the fridge for a week or so, you'll find that there's a little drying. And so when the eggs are boiled, it's easier to separate the peel from the egg itself. Lovely. I'm just gonna take a second and wash my hands. All right, I keep the egg salad very simple. Mayonnaise again, spatula. More chopped green onions and some chopped green olives. I've just used the pimento stuffed olives. If you want to use fancier deli olives, I leave that up to you. I've always loved the addition of green olives to egg salad. I think it was my mom who started me on that, and it just makes the egg salad, it just brings the salt together, which is what I love about a good egg salad. And that reminds me, let me check the seasoning. This will definitely need a little bit of salt, and I'll add some pepper. And let me grab that chicken salad because I should check the seasoning on it too at the same time. So, chicken salad. Egg salad spot on. Chicken salad just needs a little left. Tasting as you go and tasting before you assemble things is so important and such an easy step to skip. Sometimes we get so caught up in a recipe, we forget to do that. And it's one of the privileges of cooking versus baking. When you're baking, you can't always taste when you go, but once cooked, you certainly can here. All right, now for the last layer, the pesto cream cheese. So I've got my cream cheese. A generous amount. This is really the body of the recipe. The pesto is so concentrated in flavor that a little goes a long way. So let me soften this up first so it's ready to go. And I'll set this aside, grab my mini chopper. If you have a full-size food processor, you could make the pesto in the food processor and simply add the cream cheese to it. I'm using the smaller mini chopper just because it's easier to clean and it takes up a lot less space. And I've got a combination of parsley leaves, mostly for the color. You know, parsley is underrated. It's got great use. It does add flavor, that sort of balanced green bitterness that can finish up rich dishes, adds that pop of color. And a pesto, I find, with just straight basil can be a little too intense sometimes. So I have my fresh basil leaves, those get added. Other key ingredients, typical to pesto, some fresh garlic, 2 cloves. I just slice them up so they go into the chopper and blend a lot easier. A little bit of Parmesan cheese, just to bring up the cheese flavor a little bit and not relying on just cream cheese. And I'm gonna start with a couple tablespoons of olive oil and see if I have to add any more from there. I might as well add some salt and pepper to this now. Give this a little whir. Yeah, it's looking a little dry. Let's give it a little more olive oil. Ooh, I can really smell that basil. So I'm going to add this in 2 additions, just so I make sure, just like when you add sugar to cream cheese when you're making a cheesecake, I'm adding my pesto a little at a time at first, so I don't end up with lumpy cream cheese. Oh, and that color really does come through, doesn't it? Now, you might be wondering, of these 3 sandwich choices, I've got the chicken, I've got the egg, and the pesto cream cheese. You might be thinking, well, isn't the obvious sandwich flavor missing for an afternoon tea? Cucumber. But I have found if I put cucumbers inside this torte, the cucumbers go soft too quickly. A cucumber sandwich is best when it's freshly assembled. And so a torte like this is a definite make ahead, so that all the work is done when it's time for afternoon tea, when it comes to feeding a crowd. And so the cucumbers I just save to put on top as garnish. There, that's nice and smooth. I can add the remaining pesto. I left the pine nuts out of this pesto recipe because I put them in the chicken salad. Of course, you could just put the pine nuts in here and skip everything, but I like a smoother cream cheese filling because I prefer to pipe the top layer when I'm assembling this torte. Okay, now let's give the cream cheese a little taste. Cream cheese itself has a decent amount of salt. Between that and Parmesan, I don't need to add any more, but I will add a touch more pepper. Okay, so pesto cream cheese, chicken salad, and egg salad ready to go. I should make myself a little space. You don't mind if I take a second and tidy up, do you? Now to assemble. And just like making a cake, you need the right pan. I do find a springform pan with a latch works best to take the torte out once it's had a chance to set. Now, if you've ever seen a charlotte before, a charlotte has lady fingers on the outside and then a mousse or fruit filling on the inside. So I'm using sandwich bread in the place of lady fingers to kind of frame the torte, and then we're gonna stack the filling with bread layers in between. So what I did is I took 2 loaves of bread, whole wheat and white, just good old sandwich bread. Cut the crusts off, and then I cut each portion of bread in half lengthwise. So I have bread ladyfingers. Now, what you want to do is, I've lined my pan with parchment paper so that it's easy to remove the cake, but of course it's not going into the oven, but it just keeps it from sticking. And I create a loose little frame here with my bread slices, and you can kind of squish them about as you wish. But now, this is always the tricky part, whether you're making a charlotte or the sandwich torte, is layering. And I'm alternating white and whole wheat in terms of the bread to go around the outside. The first few might be a little bit wobbly as you're assembling, but it will fall into place. Now I can kind of push these off to the side to stay in place. Stay. Hey, there's a reason we buy this squishy bread. Squish it to get it to stay in place. There. And I've got room for a little more bread. And you want to, if you've got any gaps in the bottom, you can just fill them in. But of course the fillings are set and completely cooked, so nothing will really ooze through the bottom layer. Okay, I like to put the chicken salad at the base because it's the heaviest of the three fillings. So the full recipe goes in. And spread and level it. So you see what I mean about all the work goes in ahead of time. Making your sandwich fillings, making your layers. And this step in the process, the actual assembly, doesn't take that long. All right, now for another layer of bread, alternating your white and whole wheat as you work your way around. Really squishing the bread into place. It doesn't have to have any particular fancy pattern because you really won't pick up on it when you slice into it. Okay, now for the egg salad layer. Same idea, right on top. And you will see it does fill up the pan. And this is why, instead of putting a layer of bread, the cream cheese, and another layer of bread, I'm going to finish by covering this and then pipe the cream cheese on top. So one more layer of bread on top, and it kind of meets. Oh, let's go whole wheat. It meets the ladyfinger bread at the top. If I wanted to finish this cake with a bread layer on top and just leave it as is, I would probably take the time to cut some nice pieces of bread, either circles and overlap them, or triangles to fan them in so they fit. But we're gonna finish this torte with the cream cheese piped on top. So I've got a piping bag fit with a large star tip. And you've seen me pipe countless cakes, but never with the pesto cream cheese. But the technique is still the same. So we're gonna go for nice rosettes all the way around. And then keep going to cover the entire surface of the cake. All right, and we're almost done. If you're garnishing the top of the torte, because this could just go in the fridge like that, if you want to garnish it, I do actually recommend waiting until closer to when you want to serve the cake. If you're making the cake a day ahead, you can do your garnishes the same day and they'll stay nice, because I'm just relying on, this is where I'm pulling out the cucumber slices and I've just cut, making a little notch in them. And then I've taken some cherry tomatoes and cut them in half. Just for a little bit of color. A couple more cucumber slices for height. And now this is ready to go in the fridge. You want to give it a good 2 to 4 hours to chill. So that's why if you are planning an afternoon tea, if it's a shower or a nice outside party, all the work's done ahead of time and you know you've got a stunning cake. All right, let me pop this in the fridge to set. And there you have it, your gorgeous sandwich torte, all the work done ahead of time. So you can just bask in the glory as your friends and family just say, oh my gosh, what a great idea. How did you put that together? And you can take full credit. Believe me, I love sharing my recipes with you. It makes me so happy when I see your comments that you've made a recipe and you share your successes. And even if you have some troubles to figure out, we figure it out together, don't we? So I'm so thrilled to be moving into this Cookalong series so we can guide you through just even more delicious recipes. Enough talking, I need to cut into the cake. Look at those gorgeous layers. Let me get a piece of cucumber and a tomato to put on top, just to finish the look. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So to recap, you've got the chicken salad with the sun-dried tomato and pine nuts, you've got the egg salad with the green olives, the pesto cream cheese, all in one giant sandwich torte that cuts into lovely pieces. I hope you'll give this recipe a try and stay with me. I will be alternating my bake-along and cook-along episodes, so you can still count on lots of my delicious baking recipes. But now I can share the way I love to cook at home. I have so many recipes to share with you. I can't wait to come back. I'll see you again soon. But meanwhile, it's time for a bite of this tea sandwich torte. I forgot to put on a pot of tea. Tastes exactly like tea sandwiches. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I'll see you again soon. Green olive in the egg salad. Thanks for that tip, Mom.